Everybody, welcome officially to Snow Talk, but I'm going to delay it today on the discussion part because we need to cover, obviously, the severe threat in the short term. First off, we've had some fog around the area this morning with that clear sky. Already seeing a lot of that being more of an issue now, of a very little stratus deck of clouds working its way in from the warm front, even a few sprinkles showing up in southwest areas of Kentucky, not far from Hopkinsville. So that'll be a rain chance for the afternoon period. So ahead of that warm front, warm surge will kick in as we later on for tonight, especially, and then we'll get into the main heart of the area of low pressure itself, which is just now emerging off the Rockies into portions of Nebraska as of last check. Temperatures ahead of it are beginning to warm up in response in the 40s and 50s, even warmer weather around Dallas. We will see that, again, warm surge later tonight and during the day tomorrow. So as far as the threats go from this setup here, there is a slight risk for severe weather for the overnight period, mainly for the Wabash area from around Evansville all the way down to Paducah, Kentucky. Locally, it'll include just grazes, our far western counties. Most of us are in the marginal risk for severe weather, and the main threat being highlighted is large hail. The other indicators, damage and winds and tornadoes, are not being indicated by SPC, just the hail threat, and it's a low-end threat, but mainly about a 15%. That's what led to that slight risk being added to the west. And then tomorrow, slight risk for everyone as of now. Keep in mind, by the time some of you watch this blog update, the update from the SPC will already be out. It'll come out around midday today. All right, so here's the overall setup, and then we'll get into the details and the models. First off, for the overnight, that warm front moves in. You will see the spotty showers increase, see the showers and thunderstorm activity along the front during the midnight to 2 a.m. time period, and then we're fully in the warm sector as we head into tomorrow morning. Then as we head into the afternoon hours, for tomorrow, I would say lunch in the afternoon, there's two bands of thunderstorms, one way ahead of the front, likely to set up shop in south central Kentucky, and then the second one is the one we got to figure out. Where is that going to be? Closer to the front, or is it going to be also ahead of the front? And instability looks to be the driver for that as we head into Tuesday. And then the actual front itself, really, as it comes through here gently, we're not going to see a rapid drop in temperature. It's going to be a gradual cooling into early on Wednesday. Going back to some of the model data we're looking at here as we head into the NAM high res, this is going to be the wind fields later tonight. Very strong winds in our area. However, as you see the future radar from the NAM high res, you can see some of these cells popping up along the warm front, and see these spotting ones here to the west. Those are the ones you really need to worry about in this kind of a setup because the instability is higher in that area, and that's certainly where the slight risk is going to be a little more of an issue in this zone. So we don't really have the instability locally. We do have the wind fields, instability, but we do have enough of a situation where we can get at least some hail to come out of some of those downpours along that warm front. Not a big deal for the overnight. We'll monitor the trends. And then as we head into tomorrow midday, first of two rounds of rain. If this initial band does develop in this area of Kentucky, it's going to be very difficult for us to recover and try to get any type of instability north of that. You will get the blow-off clouds that'll kind of blow up to the north like that, and it's going to be hard to get any type of sun to break through it. You can see the main line close to the front is trying to get going, but this one may end up still in the show in advance of it. So that lead line is crucial tomorrow midday if that develops, and how much does it develop. Because as we get into the afternoon period, the NAM especially, which has a tendency to be really too aggressive with instability, it's a known flaw with it, but it's really trying to ramp up some late day instability, trying to indicate we could get some breaks in the clouds possibly in the afternoon period. If we do, by the way, easily can hit 70 degrees, which would be a record for tomorrow. But at this point, we're going to bet on more cloud cover than sun, which should keep us generally in the 60s. We'll see how it plays out. If it doesn't look to be a major outbreak, just FYI, just something we need to monitor. I think instability, again, is going to be the big issue there because all players are on the table for tomorrow. We got the potential for some hail. We got some damaging winds. Isolated tornadoes cannot be ruled out. No, it is not a March 2nd, 2012 setup. Been asked that several times. It's not the case. All right, so just stay tuned. Snow-wise, on the snowboard, one item to talk about for Wednesday. I'll show you that in a second. Look at our stats there. Normal to date should be about close to 7.5 inches. We've only had 2.7. 2.7 is where we stand for this year. When you look at that deficit compared to other areas, it's not kicking in here, but we're about 4.5 inches is where we need to be, basically. So at 2.7, where does that put us? Well, if you look at the year-to-year kind of setup, which is what we go by for snow totals for the season. Some of you like the idea of it. If it snows in March, it doesn't count. I've heard that many times. But if you go by strictly winter standards, we wouldn't even be in the top 10. But if you go by year-to-year ideas, we would be in the winter category. If we hold at 2.7, say we don't get any measurable snow from here on out, that would then make this winter the new ranking for number 10, knocking 1980 and 81 out of the top there. So we shall see. Stay tuned for more on that as we head down the road. We all know how things can turn later in February and certainly in March. We get some weird stuff. One thing I think is going to be an interesting setup here. We have plenty of time to analyze what has happened this winter, why we haven't gotten exactly the right kind of snow setup. We knew it was going to be a weird one. We knew we were going to have extremes, but really the snow drought is very extensive across the eastern half of the country. And one of the drivers, which has been an interesting driver, is the extent of the Arctic ice. Look how low it is, the red line right here, the lowest it has ever been, compared to the average of the 70s all the way to 2001, even the early 2000s. I mean, yeah, it was lower, but it was still up there. But we are way off track. And therefore, there's obviously an impact that is happening here to the pattern. So that's going to be an interesting thing to analyze once we get past the season. Let's get past it first. Looking down the road, here's that Wednesday setup. It's a wave. That's that second system we were talking about next week. But the problem is, since the cold air behind this system tomorrow night, behind the front, is not drastic, it will likely be a wave of rainfall. But if we can get to sunset, with the core of that, some of that will try to burst over to a period of wet snow on grassy areas, but it's going to be grassy areas, it looks like. So maybe a half inch of snow could fall. I don't see it being a major travel headache, but it's sad when we get excited about that. But we'll watch it because the timing on that is going to be crucial. But a burst of wet snow appears to be on the table. And looking even further down the road, when you look at the signal analysis for WASPy waves, here's where we are now. It shows this up and down, shows the warm spell coming by the way as we head toward this weekend, and then it shows the drop still later this month. In fact, when you look at the long-term outlook here, and this is done really well, it's shown the warm spell coming our way as we head toward this weekend and early next week, and then it shows us dropping down again as we flip the calendar from February into about the first couple days of March. We shall see. We'll talk more about that later on.